Boom! What's up, everyone? Welcome to Simulation. I'm your host, Alan Sakyan. Very excited to be talking about plant-based on a budget. We have Toni Okamoto joining us on the show. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. I'm really excited for this conversation. Toni Okamoto is the founder of Plant-Based on a Budget, which provides delicious vegan recipes for under $30 a week in less than 30 minutes a meal. She has taught hundreds of thousands of people how to eat a plant-strong diet while saving money in the process. Going vegan is not only an attainable goal, but the best choice for your health, the planet, and your wallet. And you can find the book link in the bio, as well as plantbasedonabudget.com, plantbasedmealplan.com, and the Instagram, plantbasedonabudget. And I love flipping through this. It is like making my mouth water. It's just super simple, and it's super affordable, which is so critical. And I'm excited to unpack this with you. Let's jump into things by asking you one of our favorite questions. What are your thoughts on the direction of our world?
Well, I am really excited so I live on the internet. A lot of my work is done on the internet, and I see so many people being active in different communities. Some people are very passionate about water access or sanitation systems, building sanitation systems in developing countries. And so to see people really active in their communities, trying to make the world a better place, makes me want to do the same. It's very inspiring. And so I generally think that there are many suffering people in the world, and it is our duty and our responsibility to ease their suffering. And so to see that online and to see people who have an influence on the internet getting other people inspired to do whatever they can do, whether it's big or small, or make a contribution financially, is inspiring to me.
What an important synthesis. Yes, the access to the internet and social media and our ability to catalyze ideas to spread and hopefully eradicate some of the suffering and issues that we have, and make life better across the world and activate people and engage them towards that. Yep. Yeah, I'm glad that you picked that as your direction of our world. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I've really focused on this one issue of plant-based eating for my whole adult life. And I recently started a podcast with my husband, Paul, who it's called Business for Good. And we interview people who are doing good in the world with business, and to hear what other people are passionate about and how they're solving these really big world issues is just admirable to me. I love that people are using their platforms to do good and using business to do good and make a huge impact on the world.
Whoa, okay, and this is another interesting thing to unpack with you, is these guests that you've had, and we'll maybe save that for later.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's also so cool that you guys are doing that. Okay, let's get into the journey. You mentioned it in this last bit that you started talking about this. You spent most of your adult life in the plant-based realm.
Yep.
And how did you get interested in that? You spent most of your life in the Sacramento, California area. Mm-hmm. Teach us about that.
Okay, so like many people, I grew up eating regular old standard American food. So I was raised by my grandparents initially. My dad was in the Navy, active duty, and so he went away. He was in war and was gone until I was about 11. So in that time, I lived with my grandparents, who were fully retired and gave me all the love and attention possible. And one thing that my grandpa was passionate about was gardening. And so he and my grandma, who cooked from scratch all the things that he made at home, they introduced me to delicious fresh food. But then when I went and moved with my dad, I didn't have a lot of that access anymore. My dad didn't know how to cook. We ate a lot of chili beans from cans on top of a hot dog, or like frozen meals and hamburger helper. And so that's where my life was going. And in high school, that's when it became a little bit worse, because I had access to a lot of fast food. Fast food was surrounded by my high school was surrounded by fast food places, and so on lunch I'd go have fast food. But I was also an athlete, and I would eat not good food at a fast food restaurant, come to track practice and not feel really great afterward. And I don't knock fast food, because I think that Taco Bell, for example, has saved me many times while traveling. They have plant-based options there. But if you're trying to optimize your health and perform well as an athlete, I would say don't eat fast food before your training. So I eliminated the fast food from my diet. I stopped eating red meat, and that is the beginning of my journey. I was introduced to that from my coach. My coach was like, hey Toni, the food that you put in your body is going to affect how you feel and how you perform. And so I started eating a little bit healthier and eliminated that red meat. And so that was the beginning. The genesis of my plant-based journey was eliminating the red meat.
And you had the grandparents too, the dichotomy between the grandparents gardening and father that is doing frozen meals and hot dogs and chili and stuff like that. And
so totally live the bachelor life. Yep.
And this is great because then you get to see both worlds and kind of start forming the decision. And also as an athlete as well, you get to realize that that is the fuel that you're putting in your body to be able to do things like run track.
Yep.
Yeah. So then what about, this genesis? Okay, why was it red meat as the thing to cut?
He told me that was not a healthy option for me. And again, I didn't have any nutrition information. My coach was the first person who helped me make the connection between the food that we eat and the way we feel. And so he said, and not in much detail, he said, you would feel better if you stopped eating red meat, and it would be a healthy decision. So that was pretty much all he told me, and I felt the effects immediately. And so I stopped eating red meat, and after high school, when I moved out of my parents' house, I became a full vegetarian. And it was kind of out of convenience and out of a little bit of animal issues, just a little bit. I felt more comfortable learning about it, and I thought, wow, I had no idea. But then when I was in college, so I went to community college. So I went to community college, and then I quit college, and then I went back later in life and finished. But at community college, I went to a veg club. They had a veg club on campus, and I met people who were in a similar stage in life as me, who didn't have a lot of money, who had been deeply rooted in their cultural foods, who had many obstacles to overcome to achieve a plant-based diet. And teaming up with them made it a lot easier. We learned how to cook together. We figured out how to do it on a super cheap budget. We learned how to tell our parents, because if your parents mine, for example, want to feed me Mexican food, and when I go in and I'm like, I can't eat your food anymore, they're like, what do you mean you can't eat my food anymore? So
there's a whole coming out of the vegan closet.
Definitely, yeah. My parents, they had a hard time with it, and it took years for them to start accommodating me. So it is a real obstacle. It's a struggle if you're in it and you dine with your family a lot. And to me, my family is extremely important. Yes, and I love spending time with them. And sharing food is something that we do to connect and to share love. And so that was an issue for me in the beginning, but having other people who were in a similar situation and having that support system made it an easier process.
Yeah. Whoa. You're speaking to the support system when you're collegiate, the veg club days, and that being so critical to being able to stay with what you're, and also doing things like you're starting to analyze some of the factory farming processes.
And as soon as I became plant-based, that world became so much brighter and clearer to me, that the suffering was happening and I wanted to make a change. And if the change, the easiest thing I could do was eliminate those products from my diet. And so I think it was because I let my defensiveness go down, because I was already not eating animal products. I was able to take in that information more. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's a cycle of awareness expansion is really the key, is that when we learn more about where we come from in the cosmic perspective, and where we eat, or where our food comes from, and just when we tap into these things a little bit deeper and double click into them, we usually at least become more aware of the decisions that we're making and what potentially consequences some of these decisions have.
Yes, and food choices are so personal, and nobody likes to feel like they are contributing to suffering. And so we justify all of the behaviors that we do, whether it's I shop at places I know that have poor quality of standards, and so I know that that's something I need to improve. But food choices, that's something that is so ingrained from the very beginning of what we learned from our parents about food, that the approach I take now with Plant-Based on a Budget is more inclusive, and it's meeting people where they are, because I face those same struggles. And I remember being so turned off to the message when people were demanding me to be vegan or bust, like you had to do it or nothing. And so that is such a turn off message to me, and I want to give people the same experience and freedom to make their own choices as I had in my journey.
Yeah, that's well said. The way to potentially augment people's awareness and potentially change behavior is to tell a powerful story, and something that emotionally connects with people where they're at.
That's so true.
Yeah, and so when I hear you talking about this, the instances of like coming out to like family, like this is like, you're like young, you're like 0 to 6 months old, and you're already being fed things that your parents think are good, and then until you're a teenager, you're still really, you don't have money to go and buy your own groceries, so you're really just eating whatever's at the house. Which is in itself some serious subconscious programming that's occurring through the food that's in your home and the decisions that are being made by your family. So then to be able to come and say that, hey, like I have a veg club, like this is how I'm feeling right now, I'm doing my analysis factory farming, like I don't want to, like, and they're kind of like, sometimes they have to give you a little pushback, and they're like, no, you have to eat meat, or you have to eat what we eat. And so this can be a hard back and forth with family and friends. You're kind of like
Definitely. And I feel like the really challenging part, and I think that this is for activism across the board, is that when you learn what's happening, you want to spread that message, and you want everyone to adopt the lifestyle that you've just chosen. And so new vegans or vegetarians, they go home and they're like, did you know that animals are dying and being killed by the millions and billions? And your family, they haven't learned all of that yet. They haven't researched it like you have. They don't have that support system that you've just built. And so they're way steps behind you, or maybe not even on the same path as you right now. And so I think that to just offer some grace and offer some, like to put things into perspective, that they're just not as advanced in that specific choice that you've made is going to be the best decision.
Yeah, on the bell curve of adaptability towards the ethics evolving, it's especially as we go like 50 years out, all the kids will be like, what were you doing slaughtering billions of animals? So the clean meat revolution's kicking off. I want to know, how did you make the first, from the Veg Club and from talking to your parents and from building up your community, how long was it until the Super Easy Vegan Slow Cooker Cookbook?
Oh, years.
It was years, like 10, like 5, 10, how many years?
Probably, so I became vegan when I was 20. And I wrote that book when I was in my late 20s.
Yeah, okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
And okay, so tell us about like how did it start, the process of like, okay, I'm making all this plant-based vegan food, like I want to share this with people. Was that kind of the idea?
It was a longer journey, and it was very slow for me. As I mentioned, I started with the red meat, and then I went to to being vegetarian, and then a couple years later I became plant-based. But it's always been this slow and steady progress for me, where I stopped drinking cow's milk, and then I stopped eating yogurt, and like over time let things go. And that was a much easier process for me personally. I know people who've done it overnight and they've been successful, but that was not me. And I really wanted this to last lifelong. I wanted it to be something that I can hold on to forever. And I needed to set myself up for success, and I went at a pace that I felt comfortable with, and that I knew would set me up for success. And I'm really glad I did that because it gave me a chance to find some alternatives, to allow my palate to change.
Yeah.
I didn't have a lot of experience eating different or diverse foods. I had not tried Ethiopian, I had never tried Vietnamese, I had never tried all of these foods that I love now, and I had to change my palate to like those tastes because I was a much pickier eater when I ate everything, which is funny because a lot of people are like, oh, I'm not going to be able to eat anything. But for me, I had the opposite experience where it opened me up to this whole world of new eating, and I am really grateful because I remember one story in particular where I went with my friend who was a vegan to a vegan restaurant. It was a Vietnamese vegan restaurant. And he said, I was in high school, so this was before I gave up red meat, before everything. And he said, order anything, my treat, I just want you to try vegan food. And I ordered the white rice, like white steamed rice on the menu. So of all the things, the only thing I would try was the steamed white rice because I just was so intimidated by all of the vegan food that I had never heard of. I'd never had Vietnamese food before. And so that's the kind of eater I was before I became plant-based. It was so definitely a journey for me. And then I want to go back really quickly to talk about the activism part of my journey because I was talking about how you don't want to force your opinions on your family, but something that I did that I found really that works is sharing food.
That's right. Yeah.
Sharing delicious food. We went to an animal sanctuary and pet animals and learned about their stories and giving them that connection that wasn't this like showing them meat as murder or something where they're watching animals being slaughtered. It was instead giving them insight into the lives that they lead and showing that they're like their dogs or their cats.
Exactly.
Yep, and then there are some really great documentaries on Netflix that are not graphic. So I would, for my birthday, in lieu of gifts, I would ask that we have a vegan meal and we watch a movie together. And that has seemed to work too. So I don't think that people should totally avoid talking to their families because it can be helpful for them to understand your lifestyle. But I just don't think we should be abrasive.
Yeah, that's so well done. Is the both the introduction of the vegan meals, like, hey, I made this beautiful, meal.
Everyone loves free food, free delicious food.
And then also the content that's not graphic can help. But then you started giving us also this trajectory. You took time. Some people go cold turkey; they're just like done, not gonna do it. Some people go very much over a period of years of slowly eliminating things, going from no red meat to vegetarian to vegan. So then, what were those other ones for you? You said took off yogurt, took off milk, and then
definitely cheese was the hardest. And at that time, there weren't any vegan cheeses. I recently went to, so my business partner, Michelle, was adopted and found her biological father by DNA testing, and now he's been welcomed into our lives and we hang out with him, and he became vegan because she's vegan. So it was really cool. And we recently were in LA and we went to a pizza place, and the pizza place had vegan cheese but no vegan meats, and he's a new vegan, and I remember him, he went up there and he was like, what kind of pizza place doesn't have vegan meats? And I was like, oh my gosh, you are so spoiled and you don't even know it, because vegan cheese is a new phenomenon right now. I remember just 5 years ago, 3 years ago, there were not nearly as many good, and none of them melted. And now we're so fortunate where we have some options that melt, so you can eat pizza and feel like you're eating pizza.
Yeah.
So cheese was the hardest for me. Cheese was really difficult, and it was something I would say, okay, I'm done eating cheese. Oh wait, I'm not done eating cheese. And so that was the hardest for me.
And then you were also giving us this really awesome timeline of how over time we've had products that have come onto the market like vegan cheese and vegan meats, and we are a huge fan of when these these additional products come into the market that are able to kind of unlock people's access to vegetarian or vegan plant-based diets, because then they say, oh, I can still have cheese that melts on my pizza, but it's vegan cheese.
Yep.
And usually it's made out of like cashews. Is that right? It's like cashew cheese or like...
Well, there are lots of cheeses now. One of my favorites is cashew-based. That's Miyoko's cheese.
Okay.
And then there's Daiya. That's a pea protein.
Pea protein?
Yep.
Okay.
And Daiya is super accessible. And you can find it at, I believe, Walmart and I believe Target. So
yeah, accessibility. Yeah. So then, okay, but then how did it end up getting to the first book that you ended up authoring?
Okay, so then somewhere in there, I started working for a farmed animal sanctuary, and around that time, my life kind of just fully became vegan advocacy. I wanted to teach people about plant-based living, vegan food, vegan lifestyle, the whole works. And something that I heard over and over and over and over again is that being vegan is too expensive. And I even heard it from my own family, who I really wanted to eat healthier. I wanted them to eat plant-based. I told them, hey, I'm thriving on a plant-based diet, but I really just wanted them to be healthy. And they were suffering some severe consequences of the poor diet choices, including heart attacks. My uncle was 40 when he had his first heart attack, or when he had a heart attack. My grandpa had passed away already from complications in a triple bypass surgery, and he had already had one heart attack. My aunt had type 2 diabetes and then passed away after having multiple amputations. And so type 2 diabetes claimed her life. And these are things that could have been avoided had either they received the proper education on nutrition, where the doctor said, and I don't know if this happened, but the doctor said, hey, a lifestyle change needs to happen immediately because your life is at risk. And so I was very young when all this happened. I don't know if they received that education, but I imagine if their life was on the line, they would have chosen life. And so I created Plant-Based on a Budget with some friends to show people that eating plant-based could be done very affordably and conveniently. You didn't have to go to shop at all these expensive grocery stores. You didn't have to go to your local co-op. You could go to any grocery store and eat a healthy plant-based diet. And we did that by sharing recipes that our families liked. And that was helpful for my family. And from there, it just grew. I created different resources. I had asked my audience what they wanted. And over time, created, which is now my full-time job, Plant-Based on a Budget. And then somewhere in there, someone reached out to me and asked if I wanted to write a cookbook, which was my first cookbook. That was the Super Easy Vegan Slow Cooker Cookbook. I didn't know a lot about slow cookers, but I did know that my audience would appreciate something that only had a 15-minute active prep time. So all of the recipes, you would just chop everything up within 15 minutes, dump it in the slow cooker, and then you could either go to sleep and wake up and have food, or go to work and come home and have food. And I know that my audience is tired from work. They are busy. They're on a budget. They don't want to spend a lot of money. They don't want to spend a lot of time. And that concept would be very beneficial to them. So that's why I wrote that book.
15 minutes of chopping.
Of prep time. Yep.
And then you just put it all in the slow cooker.
That's getting the stuff out of the refrigerator. That's opening up the can of beans. 15 minutes for it all. Dump it, and then you have a meal when you're done from work.
Yeah. Whoa. And this normally it's some sort of bean and veggie type, some grain. Is that usually what it is?
There were a lot. So I did over 100 recipes in that book. So there's a wide variety of recipes, and a lot of them I ended up tailoring for this book. Well, I would say probably like 10 recipes I put in this book for the stovetop. So I altered them based on some feedback that I got from my first book and improved them and showed people how they could do it in the pressure cooker, the slow cooker, and on the stovetop. Because not everyone has a slow cooker, and not everyone has an Instant Pot. So the stove is is a tried and true way to get food cooked for you.
And you kept a similar theme. I really want to see, your audience. You have this this tendency to want to like talk to your audience, like pull your audience. Yeah. So would you get like feedback, and like what was the receptivity that you were getting from the first book, and how you ended up wandering yourself into the second one?
Well, the first one, it did really well. So it's been out since 2017, and I've sold about 55,000 copies. So that's a lot of books.
Badass.
Thank you.
55,000?
Yeah, 55,000
Nice.
copies. And so that one did really well. But what I wanted, I want to serve my audience. I do this work because I feel it's beneficial to the people who put their faith in me to help them navigate plant-based eating. And I wanted to create this ultimate resource for them that's easy, that will help their families save money, that will teach them the basics, but also have something for the experienced cook who is looking for something different. And that's why I created Plant-Based on a Budget. I poured my heart and soul. It is everything that I've ever thought in my head should be in a cookbook.
Yes.
In a cookbook. And I worked on it for about 2 years before it came out yesterday.
Yeah.
And I'm really proud of it. Some things that I included in the book are a picture with every recipe.
Yes.
I know that I am very visual, so I don't want to flip through a cookbook and see a bunch of text. I want to see beautiful, colorful photos that inspire me to make it. And then something else, I'll show it to you really quickly.
Yes.
I included these tips because I want people to customize my recipes based on their family's preferences.
Yeah.
And so I put the recipe, the ingredients, and then I put some optional additions. Say you have these, or you have some extra money, you can put some optional additions. Mm-hmm. And then I put some tips for either making the recipe in a variation, or you can also, it's like a tip to make it an easier process. And then I had my testers do tips. And then I put space for them to write their own tips in.
And that they could have a log of that.
Exactly, because I know when I first started learning to cook, I wrote all over my books. And that's how I learned how to cook. There we go. Is it gonna go?
There it is.
There we go.
Yeah, I also realized that when I was looking and I was seeing that it's because it fits within a certain amount of about $1 to $2 a meal, which is crazy, about like $20 to $35 a week in produce costs. And then you get the optional additions. So for those that have some extra funds, that they can add those. Super easy direction and ingredient lists. And these are all under 30 minutes of time. Then you have your tips, other testers' tips. So this is again the audience is contributing.
Which is really cool, because a lot of the people were people from all over the country. So I had 40 recipe testers, and they varied from very young, one of them was in elementary school, and to people who were older, and people who had never cooked, people who were experienced chefs, vegans, non-vegans, people who, like, just all across it. They lived in rural towns, urban towns, and I loved that diversity, because that's who's reading the book. You just never know who's picking up the book, or their cooking skill level, or where they live, the access to grocery stores. And I wanted everyone, regardless of where they are, who they are, how old they are, to be able to cook these recipes easily.
And that's super evident. I just love how you said that it's everything that you had formed in your mind over the last, even not just 2 years, but throughout learning of your process last decade more, and that then you were able to put it into something that you said that's so accessible for all different types of people. So this is not only is it that it's accessible financially, it's also accessible in terms of the you don't need the co-ops and the you can shop at a Walmart or a Target in your local rural area. And accessibility in price, $20 to $35 a week, $1 to $2 a meal, but also that the sections in here are very interesting. You have one pot meals, basics, apps, salads, dinners, desserts, and a sample meal plan. I would love for you to teach us about those sections.
Well, so I started meal planning. I offer meal plans on plantbasedmealplan.com, and I learned what people wanted. I created these meal plans that show people how to save money, and often that is not including desserts, that's not including a savory snack, and people really wanted those things. So I knew I needed to include desserts because people have a sweet tooth. I have a sweet tooth. I don't want to feel like plant-based eating is taking away something from my life. I want it to be helping me and only bringing me goodness, not taking away the goodness. So I definitely have the real deal chocolate chip cookies. I have chocolate pie in there, and those are always crowd pleasers. So,
and these are very the ingredient list is also
tiny ingredient
lists that are vegan.
All vegan, yeah. And then something I knew I wanted to include was the one pot meals, because I hate doing dishes. I do not want to do dishes ever.
Mountains of dishes.
And sometimes you have these recipes that require, like, first the little pot, then the big pot, then bake it, then do this, and then stir it in this bowl. And I did not want to have my audience doing dishes for 45 minutes after they cooked for the 30 minutes. And so I created the one pot meals that are all easily adapted to be instant pot meals too. So you can just chop everything and throw them either on the stovetop or in the instant pot. And I give you directions for both, and that way at the end you only have your one pot to clean.
Yeah, you even have an example on right here, the veggie chow mein, right? Mm-hmm. That's one of the one pots.
Yep.
Yeah. So Ron, can you see that one?
You not tied
it. Yeah, it's on.
Oh, there it is.
Okay. Yeah, and you can see how this is all done in one. The celery, the carrots, the soy sauce is all done in one. Yeah. Yep. And the noodles. And so it's great to be able to do like literally one dish afterward, plus like your fork and your like spoon that you use to mix it up.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's so awesome.
And so what I love to do with those, because I only feed 2 people, is that I make leftovers so that I don't have to make lunch or worry about lunch the next day. And so sometimes we can feed the 2 of us for dinner, then the 2 of us for lunch the next day, and then maybe one other day that week with the batch of food that I made, so that it's really limiting my time in the kitchen. I love food. And I think that people often think, wow, Toni's such a foodie, she loves all things food. But I love eating food. I don't want to spend all my time in the kitchen. I want to spend my time hanging out with my friends and my family, going on a walk, and not doing dishes and standing and like stirring. And it's kind of my means to an end. I want to eat and enjoy that delicious homemade food.
Yeah, and short cook time, limited amount of dishes afterward, huge. And then I want you to teach people, most people I don't think know that you can even like make cookies with a vegan. Can you explain, instead of like eggs and butter, like what are you using?
Yes, so there are, in my cookies I use applesauce, and that would be in place of an egg. And then I also use vegan butter, which is, you can find at any grocery store. You can often find either margarine or vegan butter like Earth Balance. And Earth Balance, a tub of it, I bought it from a store where I live called Winco. It's like a big warehouse grocery store, and it was $3.30. So it is not expensive, and you can even find the blocks of margarine for like $2. So it's not an additional, it's not like your cookies are now going to be double the cost. Because you chose the plant-based version. Okay. And then the chocolate chips, I use semi-sweet chocolate chips. The cheapest that I found are at Trader Joe's. They're $1.98 for a bag of semi-sweet chocolate chips, and those are non-dairy and super delicious.
Nice. So these are those tricks that applesauce instead of an egg, like that's like what? Yeah. And okay, so that was some of the one pot basics, especially for not doing the mountains of dishes, and then the hacks for some of the desserts. And then you said that you some of the salads in here were like well, that's what's up. I love that. I love that, those styles of salads. And then the meal plan as well. Teach us about the other sections as well.
Okay, so what I'm most known for on the internet, my work that is the most popular, is the meal plans that I co-created with my friend Michelle Kane. My friend, she runs a website called World of Vegan, and we created these meal plans called the Plant-Based on a Budget meal plans. It teaches people how to eat for $25 a week. That's $120 a meal. We do breakfast, lunch, and dinner, 7 days, and provide a grocery shopping list broken down by where you are in the store. It has a colorful photo with every single recipe, and they became really popular, so that I knew that when I created my book, I wanted to include that because people have a hard time piecing together what they're going to eat in a week. So that's why I included it in my book.
And so then you're sending people to a grocery store one time a week. Mm-hmm. And from that, and this is the business partner?
Yep.
Right here? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, cool. And then you're sending them one time a week, and then they're getting the meals for all 7 days in one trip.
Yep.
And so some of the maybe like sweet potatoes that they get for the meal on Monday will also, you'll use the sweet potatoes again on Thursday.
Exactly. You'll use 100% of the ingredients that you purchase, and I show you how to divvy it up. So say you have that sweet potato, I'll show you, we'll buy 2 sweet potatoes. We're gonna use a third of the sweet potatoes this way, and then the rest of it will be this way. And that is to help people understand that they don't need to be stocking their refrigerator with things that may expire. You know, I know that I personally have had the experience where I have the best intentions. I go buy cilantro and parsley, fresh parsley, and lettuce and kale, and then I don't get to it and I have to throw it away.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yes,
it's the worst.
yes, me too.
So we're trying to teach people how to buy only what you need.
Yes.
Go to the bulk bins, buy only what you need, and I tell people, go to the bulk bins with your measuring cups. Put the bag around it so that you're not contaminating all of the bulk items, but you're only measuring what you need. So if you're making a recipe that calls for 1 cup of brown rice, only buy 1 cup of brown rice. You don't need to buy a 2-pound bag of brown rice because then you're spending extra money. You're probably not going to eat that brown rice anytime soon. And this way you're only buying what you need.
Yep. And you get into a rhythm of going once a week, getting what you need for the 7 days, not throwing away the excess food. That's so critical. And
that's time saving too, because I know that for myself, when I'm not meal planning, I will be more impulsive about my cooking, and I'll be like, I want to eat this, but I only have one of the things I need to make it. So then I'm going to go to the grocery store, and then 2 days later, same thing. I'm going to go to the grocery store again. I'm spending time I don't really have at the grocery store multiple times a week instead of being efficient and using my time wisely, going only once and being organized when I'm at the grocery store. So I try to encourage people not to be so impulsive about their food shopping, but rather be organized and go and shop with intention.
It's so cool being able to repurpose things from one grocery trip at the beginning of the week to be able to repurpose them throughout the week. So that, especially so that they don't get wasted. And the impulsivity decreases. Sometimes we walk through and we're hungry, and then we just take a bunch of stuff because we're hungry.
Like, why did I buy this? Oh wait, I was starving.
I was very, very hungry. And okay, so another aspect to this is that you gave us the example of chocolate chip cookies. There's a mango smoothie bowl. There's another one of the asks we have, sunflower seed pesto, teriyaki stir fry. We showed a little bit earlier, but just kind of like the general idea is that it's all across, and there's so many different options. There's 100+ options in here. And then on the both on your social media platforms, you're first of all, I mean, you're crushing it. Like you're crushing it. Your plant-based on a budget Instagram account has 200,000 plus followers. Also, the content on here is like, you know, obviously it's gorgeous content, and then you have a little blurb at the bottom for every single one of the posts.
Yeah. So what I do on there is I have a variety. I found that, okay, sounds really crazy, but I found that the uglier the photo, the better it performs.
No
because
way.
I know it.
What?
I know. I feel the same way, but what I found that does really well, like you just click on this photo,
yeah.
that is a phone photo.
This is a phone photo.
Yep, that has 5,000 likes.
Yeah.
And hundreds of comments. But people want to know what I'm eating when I'm eating it. And so I find that
interesting.
If I say, okay, so, hey guys, today I threw in some onions, some bell pepper, some brown rice, and some quinoa, and some black beans into the Instant Pot with some broth, and made a soup. Now it gives them a little bit of an idea of what they can go home and do. It's something that I took with the photo, with my phone, so they can see that it's not super styled. They can envision themselves eating that meal. And sometimes I think it's a little bit harder. So like you can see in this photo right here, that's in my pot on my stove.
Yep.
And you can go home, you can be like, oh, I can do that. And you can envision yourself making that at your house instead of something that's super stylized and with lighting and props, and it just is more realistic. So
more realistic. That's quite interesting. So more realistic images that people can actually do at home will end up getting more interest.
I do both though. I have a variety. I have some staged photos and then some photos like that, which is just what I ate at home that day.
Yep.
And those always do better.
Ron, how hungry are you right now?
Looks delicious.
Oh my gosh, by the way, those are so good.
Oh, the Magnum non-dairy bars?
They are so good.
Wow. Those sound
really good.
Yeah, that sounds so good. Yum. Another thing is that you have these jokes, like you have this dinosaur one's is funny. Yeah.
Yeah, I like to.
Great. Who invited the herbivore?
I like to make it fun. I want to have people not be so uptight about it, and you know, sometimes people. I know that, for example, one of my friends a long time ago, she was every time we ate plant-based food, she would be like, why? Like, my body's craving meat. And so you have these friends who are maybe a little bit skeptical about your diet or don't want to only eat plant-based food with you. And so that's funny.
It is, yeah, exactly. Get people on your side that way. Yeah. I also want to plug the YouTube channel. Your YouTube channel has a lot of really strong, you know, that was the video we showed on the veggie chow mein, but they're super short, like a minute long video, and it's really well produced, and so it can be replicated at home quite easily. And there's so many options.
Thank you.
Yeah, Hasselback potatoes, cinnamon rolls, tasty tofu tacos, breaded tofu strips recipe.
Yep.
Easy edamame salad. So this is also Toni Okamoto on YouTube as well.
Yep.
Yep.
And I do a variety of videos. So Michelle, who I worked with on the meal plans, she is a video producer too. And so on her channel, a lot of these, you'll see a lot of us.
Yes.
We have they're longer videos that teach people exactly what. Okay, so we'll say there are 20 yogurts that are non-dairy on the market right now, which are good, so that you're not spending your money trying food that you may not like because it's the worst of all of the options available. So we'll do a taste test.
That's great.
And offer our opinions for whatever they're worth, and help guide people into what is the better options so that they can try maybe the top 3 instead of trying 10 that are not that good.
Save people time, money.
Yep.
With it, and you'll probably actually keep more people coming because of that. Whereas if they had a bad experience, they might just drop it right away.
And some of them do really well. Like this one has nearly 100,000 views.
Nearly 100,000
and that's it's been up for a year, and it's
Trader Joe's haul.
It's just what's vegan at Trader Joe's.
That's awesome.
What is unexpected, or there are some things that are expected that are plant-based. But I know that we each picked 10 things, and I had never tried some of the things that she had chosen because I have, when you have your things that you like, and just being introduced to new plant-based options at a place that you regularly shop is fun.
Yeah. This is great. You can go with a partner and say, okay, go get your 10 favorite vegan foods, and then you'll get your 10, and then you'll probably have like a couple at least that are not overlapping, which then you can learn about why they pick those couple.
Yeah.
And it's actually a good way to go and start sharing experiences and build community that way. Almost 100,000 views on a video. Awesome stuff. There's so much content. It's great that you're doing this because you have to have the media side of this knocked. And you have the Instagram rolling and the YouTube rolling. And have you already been getting feedback on some of the content's only been a day, but
yep.
Yeah, what have you been hearing about it?
So far, so good.
You're like 780th in the total Amazon book rankings.
Yeah.
What? That's like 8 million books and you're 780. What?
I am very honored. It's been a really amazing past 24 hours since my book came out, and I am really grateful for the response so far. I know that for sure we had over 1,000 pre-sales, pre-ordered books on Amazon, and I've been hearing from people talking about how they found it at Costco, how they found it at Whole Foods, and so there it is.
Number 721 in books. Ron, if you zoom out a little bit, I have it zoomed in. Number 721 in books, number 2 in budget cooking, number 3 in Whole Foods diets, number 6 in vegan cooking books.
Good day.
It's a good day.
I feel like life is ebbs and flows. It's ups and downs, and I'm so happy to be at an up right now.
Yeah, it's hard work. 2 years of hard work. You said that for all the photographs that it took you. Wait, Toni, you have to tell this story. You spent 5 straight days making 100 of the meals for the photographs.
Yep. So I had worked with my friend Jenny before. She was recommended to me, and then we became friends. She's a photographer here in San Francisco, and I knew I wanted to work with her again, so I called her up. I said, hey, I'm writing this book. Can you come? And at the time she was living in Denver. Can you come and make 100 recipes with me and photograph them and do it in one sitting? So we did it. We cooked 100 recipes and were up all day, all night doing it. And my house was like, it was comical because I had 100 recipes worth of food, and I had as many people as I could come with their Tupperware. I said, if you live within 10 miles of me, come eat food at my house. Bring your Tupperware. I will feed you all week. Yeah. Bring it. And then it was just funny to watch us go. I played the whole Taylor Swift discography. We both were Taylor Swift. We had just seen her in concert, and so Taylor Swift fueled this musically. Yeah. It was a really fun time, and it was a lot of work, and I'm so grateful to her. And then I have some lifestyle photos, which are really great. Lifestyle is the ones if I'm in there in the photo, like the back of the book. Michelle came. She is a photographer too. She did those.
And then you love avocados so much. Yeah, there's the lifestyle photo. That's you with some salad in the park in Sacramento?
Uh-huh.
Yes. And then it's not on the program feed.
It's all right.
It's all right. Okay. Yeah. It's not on the program feed. I got you there, Ronnie. Oh, that's great. So then there's also like, okay, hold on. I want to see if I can snag it. Oh, I found another good lifestyle photo. This one right here.
Oh, that's my brother.
This is you and your brother.
Yeah.
And those are the orange creamsicles.
Yep.
Frozen bananas, plant-based milk, orange juice, and vanilla extract.
And that one is the one that the little boy, Tyler Tisnado, he is in elementary school and he was one of my recipe testers for that recipe. So it was so cute. He did a little YouTube video as his critique. So he showed himself making it and then he gave me his thoughts on the recipe when it was done, which is really, really cute.
This is great to be able to engage young people in it as well.
Yep. Yeah, there are a couple recipes which I recommend in the book for making with your kids.
Oh, cool. Which ones do you, off the bat, do you remember?
Definitely that creamsicle recipe, but there's also this one that is their oatmeal peanut butter raisin balls. And so it's fun to make them into little balls and then you refrigerate them. And yeah, I would have loved that. I mean, I love doing it now, so I can only imagine that a child would enjoy that experience.
Yes. Oatmeal
it's
peanut
delicious.
butter raisin balls, yum.
Yep.
Yes.
And you can customize it. You can use cranberries instead of raisins. You can put in some sunflower seeds, extra protein.
Maybe some banana if you want.
Definitely customize it. Some coconut shreds.
Coconut shreds are awesome. Switch it up to almond butter if you want. You know, there's all different kinds of. Yeah, when we were talking, I was like, yeah, overnight oats. Like you put the almond milk in the oats and let it soak overnight. There's the those very just couple ingredient smoothies that are so good. The veggie chilies have been very popular. There's just so many awesome recipes in here that I hope that when we think about it on a whole, this is maybe the question that I should ask you then. What are your thoughts then? We kind of talked about a little bit with some of the advances that are being made in clean meat. Some of the 50 years from now we'll be like, what were you doing slaughtering so many of the animals? So what are your thoughts on the direction on the future of food?
Well, I'm pleased. I've been doing a newsletter on the Plant-Based on a Budget, e-newsletter that I put out on Fridays that gets people excited about what's happening in the plant-based space. And these past few weeks have just been amazing. We've had Beyond Meat go public and do really well. We've had Impossible being served at places like Burger King.
Yeah, that's huge.
I went and tried the Del Taco Beyond Crumbles. I've had the Beyond Burger at Carl's Jr. And it's just amazing to me that if you're on a road trip or if you're late and or if you come home and you don't want to cook dinner, you have these options available to you. And I don't think that if you're on a budget, you should be eating those options all the time because they're more expensive for sure. Going to fast food, even if you eat animal products, it's definitely more expensive than eating at home, cooking for yourself and meal planning. But to have those options available is just game changing. It makes veganism so much more accessible. And it also introduces people to that style of food, plant-based food. I know that I have a lot of friends who are curious and they eat there anyway, and so while they're there, they'll try maybe one beef taco, one Beyond Taco, and that's really cool that it's exposing new people to the plant-based options.
Yes. Kind of coming in like right in time with some of the issues around human-caused climate change and coming in right in time, hopefully.
Yes. I'm watching, Paul and I are watching the Our Planet series. Have you seen it? It's
I think so, the Our Planet series.
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
Yeah.
and the cinematography is
So
stunning.
crazy.
It's
Yes,
gorgeous.
yes.
But afterward, every time I'm like, oh, we're killing the animals. Like our impact on the planet is so negative that it's affecting all of, even like the algae on the ice, which then feeds the fish, which feeds the penguins, which feeds the whale, or or the sea lion. So it's just,
I heard they're gonna cancel funding for Planet Earth. Did you hear that?
No.
Our planet? Cancel funding for Planet Earth.
Yeah. Don't give them any more money.
Our planet was made by the same people as Planet Earth was? Okay, cool. Yeah, because when I saw the trailers for that, I was like, this is gorgeous.
That is so pretty.
Yes, this is a way to connect deeper to the beautiful place we call home. Okay, we covered, I think, pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Pretty much, at least as well as we could in the short time we had together. Can't believe that it's under $30 a week and less than 30 minutes a meal. Let's do a couple quick simulation questions on the way out of the show that we like asking our guests.
All right, let's do it.
All right. First question is, are we alone in the cosmos?
That is an interesting question. I feel like Paul will be really good at this because he is all about space. He is the biggest space nerd I've ever met. Actually, his wedding ring is meteorite. But I don't know. I would say, based on what I hear from Paul, I would say no.
And then what about, are we in a simulation?
You're asking me the tough questions today. I don't know. What do you think?
What does Ron think?
What does Ron think?
Well, we are in a simulation. It is a game of sorts. However, we are still in charge, and we are the authors. It's very complex. It's very complex.
Pretty interesting answer, huh?
Yeah, that's good.
Yes, we're discovering this as we advance our own technology. We're seeing what we're made of. We are a virtual reality. This is virtual reality.
That's good.
Yeah. See, this was a first successful redirect. Tony goes, what do you think, Ron? I'm like, what do you think, Ron? Successful redirect.
And again, it's only what we think. It's what we believe. Our reality is based on, what we believe. So it's fascinating.
Yeah, that was a solid answer, Ronnie.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Tony,
Thank you for answering that question for me.
Yeah.
Play the game.
Tony's leveled up. Her experience points in plant-based nutrition are maxed out. Her plant-based bar is maxed out. I love it. And then how about we ask the last question, which is, what do you think is the most beautiful thing in the world?
Compassion. Compassion is the most beautiful thing in the world, to treat people with fairness and dignity and respect, and to do things that are beneficial to others and the planet without any personal gain. That is very beautiful.
Whoa, that was really strong. Yeah. Compassion plus the ego-less contributions to civilization. Yeah. Toni, this has been such a fun episode. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. And congrats. Holy cow, like 720 on the book list, like in the top couple in the cooking and plant-based categories already on Amazon. Everyone, I would love for you to check out the links below. Check out the book Plant-Based on a Budget, the links below. Also check out plantbasedonbudget.com, plantbasedmealplan.com, and as well as go follow the Instagram and YouTube accounts for Toni and for Plant-Based. Let's have more conversations with our friends, our families, our coworkers online on social media about what this all means, about being able to save money, prep our meals, and cook our meals in very small, short amounts of time and be able to live healthier, more sustainably on this planet together. So go and talk more about it. Also, give us your thoughts in the comments below on the episode. Also, huge shout out to Ron Vargas for producing and directing. Thank you very much. And support the artists, the entrepreneurs, and the organizations around the world that you believe in. Support Simulation. Our links are below. Help us continue growing and scaling our impact. Go and build the future, everyone. Manifest your dreams into the world. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you soon. Peace.